want y'all to know that he comes from a far, far, far away place called New York. Um, but the one thing I do not understand, how did you say your name again, man? What would you say? What do you say your name is?
This guy. My name is Atandwa Kani.
Is that Kani? Or is it King? I don't know, no. But which one do you want? Would you want this man, the Kani, or the King? The King? Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only King Takaka. Come up, please, young man, please. I'm just Jamal. Don't worry about it.
I'm so done with this guy.
I cause havoc. Have a seat, have a seat, have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, this young man here, if you must know, he is a wonderful person. I have spoken with him for just a couple of hours and so on, just to get to know him and everything. I am actually a great admirer of his father's work as well. And came a great, great admirer of his as well. To see him in, what was that movie that you did, that small movie that you did? What was that movie?
Oh yeah, it was a small little independent film that we did. Sort of like, it was a passion project for most of us.
Passion.
We all put together, as much as we could, just to make, our small little dreams come true. We were doing it for the kids, for the culture.
Wow, for the culture.
And we went through a lot of titles, and I think we landed up, we all agreed on Black Panther.
Whoa. Whoa. I would have liked the little kitten. That would have been really.
Yeah, no, the little kitten was the runner-up, but we couldn't.
Ooh. That would have been wondrous.
We didn't, because we wanted to. I was like, yo, anything that's got the name Black in it, I'm in.
But right now, we want to say, and I'm going to say, thank you for coming here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for what you did on the screen and basically the representation you presented for just that time. I can say for me, it was very impactful to me. I loved it. And I can say for the crowd that was there for that show, which was no standing room, they literally stood up when he came in. It was like, and they just stood up and they was clapping their hands. And I was just like, can you sit down? I'm a short man. Just sit down. And they stood up for a whole minute. And they stopped the film and went back for your scene.
That's just incredible to even hear. That is incredible. I wish I was there.
But okay, so one thing is, how did you get to that point? How did you get to that point? I mean, I know they did all the interviews and all the auditions and so on. How did you get to that point?
I mean, I like to believe in divine intervention. I like to believe in staying ready, as you know, so you don't have to get ready. I like to believe in educating yourself in many, many topics and worldly matters and politics and whatnot. And that's what the arts really is. It's political. It's trying to change the ways people think. And I was saying this earlier, I always say that art is the spark that ignites the flame, that lights the fuse, that leads to the explosion called change. And because I come from a very political background, I'm from South Africa, and we've just, had recently apartheid, and so I was born during apartheid. I lived through the transition phase, and now we're in the democratic phase of, of our country's progression. So it's always been political. We didn't have art for escapism at home. We didn't have art just for art's sake. Art was a weapon. Art was something that we could use to adjust the narrative of Black lives, to change the minds, to enforce equality, to fight for freedom. So that's what we used art as, and it was called protest theater. where my dad was involved, and Barney Simon and Athol Fugard and Winston Chona and Bongeni Ngema and Percy Mtwa. So those people who lit the way and put their lives on the line because they were political activists through the art, and they were arrested and they were beaten and stabbed and all of that. So when you come from that background and you enter into the arts, you build and you bring that militancy with you. So when I got the call for Black Panther, for me it's very political. You're talking about, protecting one of the most precious elements on the African continent. You talk about vibranium and why you want to protect Wakanda from anyone else outside, because it's happened to Africa. The colonialists came and they excavated and they pillaged and they just damaged the whole continent, and they took all the minerals and they left. And they still keep taking them, and this is exactly what relates me to, Black Panther is trying to keep the borders with T'Chaka's own narrative. He's trying to protect his nation by keeping outside people from coming in, the white colonizers, because he knows the destructive nature of colonialists, and especially when they have weapons at their disposal. It's dangerous to the black native of any land. So I understood it in that aspect. That's how I approached it. And of course it's a comic and whatnot, and we understand that, but even if you're joking around, there's always a bit of truth in jest. So everything's based on reality. And again, coming from my background, I had to connect those dots.
That makes a lot of sense. And the reason that I asked that is because, again, the man, of course, that played Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, I met that young man years and years ago, Howard University and so on. And I know that that was a process as well for the Black Panther and everything. So I knew it had to be a process for you as well, and how it came to how the pieces fit for that movie, for that, because it's just not just a movie. It's just, hey, listen here, we're here. And that's the biggest thing about that. And I know it's a big effect for you as being that you're from South Africa. So, and again, and if it comes down to it, like I said, I praise your father for what he has done through his activity. And again, I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. One thing I need to know, though, did you have to do any push-ups and some sit-ups to get into that suit? Because it looked tight. That looked tight.
That's a very interesting question. Yes. I don't know if you can see. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
No. The suit was 7 layers, and it's mostly thick rubber, so it's so hard to move in that thing. And the end result they want is that you can use your gestures and you can flail your arms if you have to and make it look natural. But the actual, the truth of it, it's like you're going, my brother, how are you? I haven't seen you since you left Wakanda. But you do a lot of training before, so it's a lot of core training, a lot of strength training to be able to maneuver and manipulate within the suit, and also be able to breathe and talk at the same time. You take it for granted. You're like, I can't move, I can't breathe. But 7 layers, and it all just kind of clicks in on different places, and it's absolutely hot. Like, you lose pounds at the end of the day when you take that thing off. It's just drenched. There's like a puddle of sweat on the floor.
Wow.
It's a great visual, isn't it?
Well, okay.
So, but I mean, it was an enjoyable process. It took about 30 minutes to get into it. And once you're in, you're in. Like, that's the whole day. You have no choice but to be in that thing. So I tried not to drink a lot of water before or during because of obvious reasons.
That is amazing. I mean, you're saying, so if you're coming in, you just said, you need to suit up around 8 o'clock. So you're saying you're in that suit from 8 until
wrap that day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of deodorant.
At
Woo.
that point, you don't really care, man. You know, if you're wearing like, people move out of your way when you're wearing that suit. Like people that I mean, my first day on set, and I arrived and I got into the suit, and I just felt like, yeah, ne? Yeah. And as I'm walking through the corridors, and people just like it's like the seas parting. People just move out of your way, and you're thinking, damn. So you don't really care. Like, what do I smell like? I don't care.
Uh,
I don't care, man. I'm King T'Chaka.
oh wow. King T'Chaka, who has BO. Anyway, my bad, my bad, my bad, my bad. I'm just saying.
Who is this guy?
I'm my bad. But okay, so that's interesting because a big thing about some people say they think from the movies and the special effects and everything, they're just thinking, oh, just put a leotard on and just zip up and hey, we're here. But you're saying you literally was in there for almost a good 8+ hours.
Yeah, it's a process. I mean, every actor has their own methods and their own process, and I think wardrobe or costume or whatever you want to call it is a big part of that. You can prep for the character mentally, you can prep for the character physically, and that all be in place. And there's different pieces of the puzzle that create the whole picture. And for me, it's if it's theater, or if it's film or television, the wardrobe is a big part of the character development because this is it puts the tone, it sets the tone of your posture, your gestures, the measure of your speech, how you relate to other people. It sets all of that up. It's just like a visual guide
Wow.
to help you with your character progression. Yeah.
From there to your next project, how did that affect you going into your next project?
Well, like you can't trickle over to the next one.
Mm.
I always advocate artists to know themselves completely. You absolutely have to do introspective work. You have to spend a lot of time by yourself doing the work to heal yourself from your past traumas, which we all have. We weren't raised in utopia. You got to do a lot of work mentally for yourself so you can be stable and understand where you are, so that you can use all of that for the characters that you try to develop and be able to pull out of that and be able to leave it where it belongs. Perhaps you revisit it at a later stage, but to take on T'Chaka into the next role, it's not fair, first of all, and it's not plausible. It's just this man who is a fantastical character. And next thing I'm playing, let's say, a school teacher. Like I can't bring T'Chaka into the classroom.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because
that
it's a little
would be
unfair
kind
to
of
the
weird.
kids.
That would be very weird. It's like I told you to do your homework. Now you go to the pit. You're like, what?
You have not done your homework, you have betrayed the school, and you are expelled. You shall meet the board tomorrow morning. Like, what is
Huh? I'm gonna go with my mama. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I mean, I love that everything that you've seen in that movie really it took a life to on itself because I never expected literally first it was $1 billion+ grossing movie. That's number one. Number one, just in case you didn't know that, and that was Marvel's first $1 billion+ movie. Just as you don't know, he's part of that. So they're like, oh, the Avengers and oh yeah, whatever. Black Panther. Black Panther.
Yeah, I got $1 billion for that movie.
Hey, yeah. That's why he.
No, but you know what? Like we were talking about this a couple of days ago. The truth of the matter is, like, being at BlerDCon, the Black Nerd Convention, is such an honor, and for Black Panther too, because you know how the black culture has become so popular that it is taken and used and it's appropriated by many other cultures.
Yes.
Anything that's done by black people is hot, man, and it sells, even though we're not selling it, but it sells like hotcakes. So we were talking about the first $300-400 million of the box office. That was all black people. And it became that hype, and then everybody else started buying into it to
Right,
take it to
right.
that billion. So, but we were in the forefront. black people were there because this is our first superhero that we see that is of presidential stature. He's not like a, and I'm not dogging it, but it's not like a half human, half vampire or whatever. You're like, I don't know.
Hey.
I know.
Hey.
I'm just saying.
Well, hey. You mentioned it, and he did actually save Marvel as well. The half human,
I was a black Marvel superhero too.
Yeah.
But African from our origins.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we were in that forefront. We were that first wave, and I appreciate that so much that we came out in numbers. We came out in regalia, in cultural garb, and we came out and I think for the first time collectively, Africans and African Americans, we were united with one mission, is to just celebrate blackness through this. Something that we don't get a lot of chances to do, something that we don't do a lot. And this is what we're doing here at BlerDCon. We're celebrating every single kind of blackness. I love it, man. This is awesome for me.
That's one thing I love about this young man right here. He has such. He's like, yes. He's like, I love seeing the black nerds, and I'm like, hey man, calm down with the blackness, man. Calm down with that, man.
How?
Calm down with that, man. I'm working that, but I love that about that because the biggest thing about that, like you said about the culture and everything, when it came to that movie, and when it comes down to it, the culture. I know we weren't going to speak about it, but would you want to speak about how they did the dialect?
So, oh my God. Okay.
I'm sorry, the dialect. So there was a situation with the dialect coach, and
there was no situation. There was not. Listen. I don't want Marvel to be like, "What you talking about?" The dialect coach. No. So the dialect coach of the film was. Her name is Beth McGuire.
I'm finished. I'm done.
Enough said.
I'm done. I mean, you had a Biffany. Biffany was there, like, "Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Wakanda."
Yeah, it was a little bit of a shocker. So I had my first dialect session with her, and I was confused because Dr. Kani, who plays the older King T'Chaka, introduced the language of the Wakandans in Civil War, and that's isiXhosa. And that's my first language, is isiXhosa. So we're carrying it down that way. So the language of the Wakandans is isiXhosa, and the dialect comes from that language. Clearly, that's how that works. So you understand my confusion?
Say it on now, brother.
So I met up with Beth McGuire, who I was hoping I was absolutely, completely wrong about the color of this person. But for obvious reasons.
No.
So I meet up with her, and I'm not sure if she thinks I'm American or. So I say to myself, okay, let me greet her in isiXhosa and see, if she would understand. So I say to her, "Molo mama igama lam Atandwa Kani, umxotshana umelusha umjaki ungantlumbi umjuju umthetha thapha maze umthumelenye. Ndiphuma eMzantsi Afrika ndicela singaqhelani xa sithetha ngesiXhosa ngolwimi lwam. How are you doing, ma'am?" And her jaw dropped. And then she's like, "Would you like to help me?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I need to." So I became the assistant
The assistant.
became the assistant dialect coach. I'm not gonna do that to this lady. She's a wonderful woman. I'm not gonna get there and kick her out and be like, "I've got this." But also, there were so many situations where Chad, because it's hard to stay in their accent if you're not hearing it all the time.
Right.
So Chad would come over and he'd be like, "I'm having problems with this word. How do you pronounce this word?" And I'd tell him. And then, Mr. Whitaker would come. He was like, "What about this? How do I say this?" And Lupita would be like, "How do we translate as much as we can without losing the meaning so, the majority of people can understand?" So we did that. We translated a few things. I became the cultural consultant on set. So but that was so necessary because I saw someone drinking something in respect to the ancestors, and they weren't kneeling.
Oh.
And I said to Ryan, you can't do that. Like he has to be kneeling. If
Yeah.
he's connecting with the ancestors, anything that you ingest, anytime you speak to them, you have to
To
kneel
kneel.
and show respect.
Yes.
And Ryan's like, yeah, man, we're gonna have to change the whole shot now. I'm like, well, you know, it's either you change the shot or let me go home. But the most people that are going to watch it, people that are going to feel absolutely represented, are people back in Africa. So they're the ones who live the culture daily, like from the roots up. And I live there. So if they see this and I'm in the movie, they're not going to be calling you my guy.
Ooh.
They're going to come straight to me and be like, how can you be on that set and you see
Yeah.
that nonsense happening and you don't say anything?
And then with it,
So I, I mean, I had to. I had to. If we're gonna do it, guys, let's do it right, man. Because it's the first of many. We had to set the tone with this one, so it had to be culturally correct. Everything had to be in place.
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank. When I say thank you, because one thing when it comes to people saying they're appropriating culture and everything, I find it very interesting because again, for you know, hey, it comes Black Panther and so on. People are like, so is there a real Wakanda language? I'm like, you do understand this is a comic book, right, Dodo Bird? It's a comic book. It's not real. It's as fictional as Tom Sawyer per se. But I was asked that literally at a comic book shop.
Wow.
At a comic book shop, and I looked at the young man and I said, "No, Wakanda is not based on anything for a real language per se. That's why there's markings there, and there's no translation underneath it other than some guy saying, "Hey, he wanted a peanut butter sandwich." No, that's what was happening. For you, however, being that you are the assistant, how did you, the assistant, how did you bring that in with the South African culture and bringing that in towards Black Panther? How did you bring that culture into it and actually, I can say, make it what it was?
Well, that was already set in motion again by Dr. Kani and Silver Warwing, because we have so many occasions and so many films back in the day where you would have the natives and they would speak their African language, and it
Yeah.
wasn't a real language. And we're just sitting at home, and all we hear is "Kanawuna ina wuna, emwe a, tina moma," and we're like, where are they from? Do you know what I'm saying? So they used to just fabricate and make up these languages just so it sounds African and no one can understand it. So, nah, it's gonna fly, bro, and ain't nobody understand that. So it was just weird. So my dad was like, I'm not gonna sit here and make up a language when I have one, when I'm from Africa. And when I speak to my son one-on-one when there's no one else around, why are we speaking English if we're African? I mean, if I found another South African here, like, the chances are we're not going to be talking in English.
No.
I mean, we have 11 official languages, 12 official with sign language, but with 12 official languages, English is just one of those. I've got so many others to choose from. Why am I going to go back to English? So that train was already set in motion. And, you know, Ruth Carter did amazing job in taking from different...
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
absolutely. That woman is a genius.
Yes.
So she took what was already set in motion and she studied different African cultures, sub-Saharan, southern African cultures, the Basotho tribes, you know, where you get the blue blanket, that's the Basotho tribe, the Sanamarena. There's the border tribe, there's the river tribe that represent different tribes in sub-Saharan Africa. So all of that was set in place and with so much respect, which we all appreciate. All that I needed to do was tweak. You know what I'm saying? Because certain times people think they have it now. So everything's set in place. All right, let's go. Where you're like, no, we have to pray first before we go. So certain small things like that, and people are like, let's try to make this as African as we can, guys. Not just African as a selling point,
Right.
and then we just leave it. If this is going to be African, we're representing. We talk about representation, and we're strong on that as black people about representation. But why does that falter when we have to include all of us? You know what I'm saying? We're just going back to the beginning. We're just toppling over what was already set up as unjust, as unfair. We have to, I'm a big advocate of connecting Africans and African Americans. We are the same guys. I always say this. I've lived in New York for 9 years of my life coming from South Africa, and I have been accepted and loved as much here as I am over there. There is no difference. We love each other. We've been told not to like each other because the combination of both is dangerous. It's powerful. But we've been told countless times, no, Africans don't like African Americans. They think this of you. African Americans, they look down on guys. And I've spoken to African Americans. I'm like, I don't know where that came from, bro. I don't even know, bro.
I don't know, bro.
And we were like, I was like, I don't know why do you think I hate you guys? No, we don't. So we need to connect. We need to speak the truth. And like I said, it's a powerful, powerful combination if you unite Africans and African Americans. It's unstoppable. And that's the reason why there was that separation, why they were like, they cannot ever get along.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I hate to say it, and like you said, from yesterday, from us talking and everything, and you listen to, it's like, hey, where's your accent from? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. It comes in and out because my family comes from the islands, comes from the Bahamas. And sometimes I got to be, as they say, American and so on. But I get home, I'm so tired. Can you go get the water? Well, get the water. I'm tired. I just, I don't have time for it. But I like it the way you're saying it, is that's the biggest thing, is acceptance between Africans, African Americans, people from the islands, people from especially Haiti and other places where we are not the minority, we are the majority. And that's a big thing. And that's what it showed in that movie. And that, when it comes to that, you and your scene showed a lot of, listen here, we love you, I love you, brother, and so on, but this is not the way. There's certain ways. And the way you just said that, I love the way you said, you went to New York and you're like, yeah, I'm South African. I don't like. You don't like me? I'm like, nah, man, we cool with you. Get you a slice of pizza. Let's go. Come on. So, right. So that's what I'm saying for you. How is it that now we're here now? Black Panther, billion-dollar-plus movie. And now we are here. Ooh, yeah, show that muscle. Ooh. You did a whole push-up this morning. I'm sorry, I got to mess with him. It's ridiculous. But when it comes down to that now, so this is now 2024. What are you looking for next?
I always say, people always ask me, what are you working on now? And I always say myself. I'm always working on myself. It is so, I don't understand why is it what I do is more interesting than who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, hi, how are you? What do you do? Like, what do you mean, what do I do? Why does that even matter? We haven't even known each other. Like, who are you? How are you? You know what I'm saying? Those are the questions. So what am I working on? Myself. Everything else will fall into place. I trust it. I trust God's timing. I trust God's plan. I really do. I understand, I have so much faith that things will work out for the better as long as I stick to it. I'm working on myself, and whatever comes next will come. And I'll jump on it, and I'll be ready for it. And that's the most important part. I'll be ready for it. So I'm working on myself.
I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's an excellent thing. I wish more people like yourself, being a thespian, being such an actor.
It's like a bad thing. Like people like you who are thespians.
Thespians.
Oh, the thespians have arrived.
I have to mess with him. I gotta mess with him because what was it? You were talking to someone. All of a sudden he'd be kind of like Shakespearean. He's like, yes.
I'm a classically trained actor, my guy.
No, really.
I mean, I've been doing Shakespeare since I was 4, actually.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, I trained at the Royal Shakespeare Company in Stratford-upon-Avon.
Oh my God.
And also, because I'm South African and we are the majority as black people there, and we've just had recent democracy, there is a superiority complex that we have, there's an arrogance that we walk with. Like, I'm not going to be subservient to anyone. You know what I'm saying? So, if you see me, my posture is is upright and it's damn near perfect. It's because I've had that training and also because I'm proud to take up space. And so should you be. You're proud to take up the space that you do take up. And don't bow down. And we come from a history of servitude, man, but enough. Like, enough of that. And we shall not keep that mentality going forward. Absolutely not. Not while we have kids to raise and queens to raise and kingdoms to build and queendoms to raise. We will not do that. We shall take up space. We are royalty. We really are.
Thespian. 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 I just got hit in the back of my head, and I just had to sit up. Because, yes, ma'am. Yes, yes, grandmama. Yes. That is something that I must say I really admire about. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand that my family has done a lot for community and so on. And they made sure that I knew about political, injustices and so on. So when it comes to speaking about his father and so on, they made sure I understood that. So to see the father on the screen, the next thing you know, I see him on the screen, and literally I'm seeing just his father with the same power and the same. I get kind of a little emotional about it, but it showed me what your father was saying to you stayed with you, and you were saying the same thing to these people, saying, hey, we are more than what they're trying to tell us. Oh, guess what? You can dance. Yeah, I know I can dance. Yes, I know I can do a backflip into a split. And yes, I know I can speak. I can, okay, hey, one Mr. Push-Up. Relax.
I think we need to call Mr. Walter Jones. He can do all of that.
Well, yeah. Yo, Walt. Yeah.
He's talking about doing a backflip into a split. I'm an old man. I ain't doing that.
But this young man really did a great thing. Only thing I can say, what more would you want the people to, know of you?
I mean, you gotta keep a little things to yourself. You expose yourself.
I didn't ask about.
What I want people to know about me is that I don't know. I mean, what you see is what you get, really. I'm very blunt. I'm very upfront. I'm very truthful. There's no need to manipulate people to like you. If they don't like you, then that's what it is. Doesn't mean I have to not like you back. There's a part of you that you're dealing with, and you're projecting that upon me, and that's okay. You will have time to deal with that, but it's got nothing to do with me. And the same, if I'm irritated with someone, there's something within me that I'm projecting onto them. Like, maybe we're too similar, and that's what it is. And maybe I talk a lot, and that's why I don't like other people to talk a lot. So, just be open, be receptive. Know thyself. Always do the self-work, man. Always do the introspection. It makes life a lot easier. It makes solving issues and dealing with other human beings a lot easier with more empathy and compassion. And that's what we need as a community. We've all been through a lot. We've been through so much historically, currently. It seems like it's never ending. The least we could do is be kind to ourselves and each other. That's the least we can do.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Now, with that said, was it kind with your training and your thespian training and so on, since you had to sit up straight and say the words so nicely and everything, and oh, thou art thou and all that.
This is an African or Jamaican or
I don't know right now.
Which accent are you doing, my brother?
I don't know because I'm not a thespian. Anyway.
That's very evident.
Urgent care.
But I got one. Yeah.
No, seriously. So I would like to know because, again, I've always been curious about those things. Aren't y'all curious? Because, again, they're like, oh, you're going to the Shakespearean da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, okay, what do you do? How do y'all? I mean, you say you've been doing it since you were a child. So what to happen with that when you first?
Well, so when I say so I first learned to read holding a Shakespearean script. My dad was doing Othello in 1988. I was 4 years old. And I was very interested. So I'd hold the script and I'd follow, because it's written in iambic pentameter, so it's easy to follow how many words he's saying. So I would prompt him and I'm cueing him, and that's how I learned to read. And the first word that I ever learned how to spell was handkerchief, because it's a big component in Othello. And earlier this year, in Cape Town at the Baxter Theatre, we did a decolonized version of Othello, because we kind of thought that this white man in 1664 wrote about this black man, and if the whole black experience has not been able to be captured by other people other than black people today, it wouldn't have happened back then. So it's a very skewed version of a black man, that, and we realize that he doesn't have his own voice, he doesn't have his own thoughts, he's been written for by someone other. So what we did is that we gave Othello his language back. Now he's speaking in Isixhosa to Desdemona at certain times. He's praying in his own language. He has his own fears, so he's relating to people in his own language. Iago is the one that kills Desdemona at the end, which upset a lot of white people.
Ooh.
Because Othello, when you look at it, it's a black man that marries a white woman. Everyone's angry. He goes crazy. He kills her. That's the end of the story. So we're the only ones who are implicated in this.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? It's a story about racism, but black people are the only one who are put on the spot. And white people are like, yeah, I knew the savage would do it. I had no trust in the savage, could not keep our white pearl. But now they feel implicit. They feel like they're involved in it, because Iago is a representation of evil, of racism. And he's orchestrating the downfall of this black man. And in this way, and we put Frantz Fanon's writing, who is a French writer who talks about conscientization and the relationship between blackness and whiteness, and the superficial superiority of whiteness and the superficial inferiority of blackness, and how those two interlink and, survive needing one another. So he writes about that, and we infused Fanon's writing into the script, and people were like, what is going on? But it was so potent that it was a true reflection, a true representation that I felt I could play Othello. And we did that earlier this year, and we're touring with it. I'm going back to South Africa in October, and we're doing a German tour. Then we're doing a few places in Europe, and we're trying to get St. Anne's Warehouse in Dumbo.
Wow.
So if you're out in New York, yo, hit us up, and yo, we're gonna be out there here.
Uh-oh.
You feel me? You feel me?
Wow. So
It's code switching. We all know this. We all know this. Yo, with your friends, yo, what's up, bro? Listen, yo, last night, and then you with your partner, you're like, yes, love. No, it was great. It's code switching. It's what we had to. It's a survival mechanism. That's what it is.
wow. I mean, my thing with my grandmother and them, I was literally taken to the theater. And don't be sneaking up on me like that. What's up? I'm just saying. Don't.
He said, don't be sneaking up on him like that. Do you know what I am saying? This is so awesome, guys.
I mean, really, this is great. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time.
No, come on. No, don't do that.
Peanut butter jelly time.
This is crazy. It's probably going to be my last one, isn't it? This BlerDCon. Should not invite that guy again.
I'm sorry, I had a silly moment. Thank you, Ashley. We have 10 minutes. Now, I'm going to say this very nicely. Does anyone stop looking at your phones? Look up. Look, I see you right there on the third. I see you. Don't be putting your glasses on now. Don't be putting your glasses on now. She saw that. She was just like, girl, he looking good. He looking real good. I like the way his T-shirt fits. Oh, yeah. Look at Storm. Storm over there like, ooh, yes, he is doing it. Hey. Okay, so I will not be asking any personal questions out from there. Okay. Woo! No. I was gonna say, are there any Q&A questions? Any question that you would like to ask? Man, I didn't say I was gonna do it. Put your hand down. Put your hand. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm gonna ask. I saw you over there. Relax. Calm down. Calm down.
I just want to say that I don't know him. Okay, so if anyone of you want to talk to him afterwards, you go right ahead. I will not be part of any of this.
There will not be no peanut butter jelly time over here. No, no, no. So, what is your question? Go for it.
Yes, sir. Yes, Atandwa. No, so I am African, and I use the example of my own life living in New York for 9 years and not understanding why that stereotype exists. And I come, say again? Absolutely, because we are told that African Americans look down on us. They think we're still running around in loincloths and there's like animals on the runway on the tarmac before you take off and
No.
all that jazz and like some Tarzan fantastical. If I could swear, you know what I'm saying?
Ooh, I can.
That's what we're told. That's what we're told to believe. And then I'm sure there's stereotypes from here. I mean, from like African Americans. I'm not African American. I cannot, say I represent African Americans, but there's both ways. But I was saying the point of what I was saying is that it was done deliberately to keep us apart,
Yes.
so that we do not unite. Because when we do unite, it's an unstoppable force. And we're just caught up in what we've been told to believe by the other. You know what I'm saying? Divide and conquer is what it is. And once we realize that, we will reverse that and understand that we all love and appreciate one another. You cannot be black and not appreciate blackness in all of its forms. That's what we need to do.
Thank you.
If you take a trip down to South Africa, I guarantee you won't want to come back. I guarantee you, you will be loved and adored, and they will treat you like royalty because we're proud of our place, our country, and we want you to have the best experience. And if it's your first time, then we want you to never leave.
Mm. I think you will miss being over here if you're a Washingtonian. You will miss the fried wings and mumbo sauce with fries. There you go. But that's just me. I'm just mumbo. Don't worry about it. We'll teach you about it later. Don't worry about it. Young lady right there. Oh, she stood up. All right, all right.
Um, I don't know, because it's like South Africa is a fairly new democracy, and it took a long time to mobilize. And the weird thing is that we're the majority in the country, so it's like 1 to 1,000, and we were still oppressed and suppressed. And it took a while to realize that. So it's not the numbers thing; it's a mental thing. And so long as we are believing the the non-truths that we've been told about ourselves, that we're not civilized, that we're not useful, is that all of those derogatory things, as long as we believe it deep in our hearts, we'll never be free. We'll never be free mentally, we'll never be free physically. So you've got to be very careful in what you ingest, what you take in, the information that you take in. Right now, we're looking at two presidential candidates who are going off at it, and it's ridiculous because we're all thinking these are the two best that you've got. But,
Hey,
but what's the real issue here? There's something that's being hidden. You know what I'm saying? There's always, you deflect because there's something else that you don't want people to see or to know. And that's why I'm saying art comes in that way, is that when you look at the truths of the situation, we're not talking about two old white guys saying, I want to be president. Something else is happening. And art is the tool that excavates those hidden truths and brings it to the fore to make other people realize and understand. Don't look at the flashing lights. There's something in the darkness, guys, that we need to be wary of.
that's right. That's right. Now, now I'm ready for that bonus question. We got 4 minutes, so make it short. First of all, I'll give you quick. I see your hand. I see your hand. I see your hand. Oh, I saw your hand over there. Hey, wait. The bonus question is, are you really that cool?
I mean,
No, that's okay. Anyway, put your hand back up over there, bro. There you go. I'll go for the brother right back. There you go.
so Atandwa means, in the sunrise over the mountains, that first bit of light that hits your eye, that rolls over the hills, that warms first your toes and then up your body into your heart, has nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing. I had to, guys. I had to. I had to. I had to. No, Atandwa means it's derived from Uya Tandwa, which means he is loved. So the loved one, he is loved. I hope I am.
It's so tender. Oh, ain't that sweet? That is so sweet. Anyway,
The last name, Kani, I've been asking my dad for years, and he's like, I don't know. That is the only. He's
trust me.
like, do we always have to have meanings in our names, Atandwa? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I don't know what my last name means, because my father doesn't either.
Ta-da! And he's a doctor. And thank you very much for that translation.
I can do that. I can do that.
Sit down. Anyway, I'm gonna go over here. Okay, okay, sorry. Okay, well, you know what, boo? Calm down. I got a whole 2 minutes. Okay.
Okay, so I speak English. No, I'm kidding. My first language is Xhosa. I speak English. I speak Afrikaans, which is compulsory back in school. Sotho, which is closely linked to Tswana. Zulu is closely linked to Xhosa. A little bit of French. I not all that much. And I mean, as an actor in your tool set, you should be able to be malleable in order to change your dialect, but it's also understanding the formation of such a process, because we used international phonetics alphabet to see where the sound sits in your mouth. So even if I think I'm good at an accent, like it took me like forever to try to learn the American accent. And even when I think I've got it, I'll always meet that one person who's like, hey, yo, where you from, bro? So when you do a movie, you always have to have a dialect coach, because it's just necessary. Because you slip up on one vowel, and the whole movie is like, what was that? So in order to make sure that you're always hitting the vowels right, the sound places, the right in your mouth, the dialect coach comes over to you, and he's like, well, it's forever, not forever. Like,
Now I know. All right. Young lady, hit for it. Mm. Mm.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that, yeah.
Don't. Come on. No, we'll do it out. We've been told we can do it out there. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it by the
We'll
booth
do it by
over
the
there.
street.
My whole booth is out there. We take
Ladies
a
and
picture and
gentlemen.
everything.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We shall be okay.
Thank you so much. This young man, stand up for your king.
Thank you.
Let us salute him. Salute him. Let's salute him.
Ibambe!
What?
Ibambe! Ibambe! Kubo!
In other words, leave. Thank you, thank you. Enjoy BlerDCon. Thank you.
Close your eyes.